All right, thank you for joining me once again for the Michael Tobin Show. It's been a while, and there's so many things brewing in my head these past several days, a couple of weeks. I just don't know where to begin, but with a little bit of help from my friends, I'll get by. And how'd you like that little bass? I recorded that on my little Saiyan play on my cell phone. And it's pretty cool. He's the unknown bassist. I couldn't find it. Just something that kind of went viral on YouTube. The guy was playing a bass with two strings. And I believe it's a technique called slapping. But it's pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. And today's show is titled London, Carl DeMaio, and Tony Guy. California gas tax ballot for 2018 to repeal. And all states' voting processes to change. You think that'll happen? Don't doubt it. Don't write it off. It may just happen. And I'll explain that later. But what was very fortunate for the country is that the majority of states did not allow just 3 states from bullying the country into who becomes president. And that's all I'll say about that. That's the Electoral College. But every state voting process is not based on any type of Electoral College like that. It's majority vote. But if we can get the states to have a system where every county, the per capita votes are counted, and however many counties vote for whatever is on the ballot or whoever is on the ballot, the majority of whatever the counties vote for will decide, instead of one county out of dozens of counties that have more people in that county than all of the rest combined decide for the whole state. That is the literally what is behind a lot of chaos that's going in every single state. So, London, Carl DeMaio and Tony Guy, California gas tax ballot 2018, and all the states' voting processes to change. I'm going to throw about 3 subjects in here in a short amount of time. Maybe it'll last about 26, 28, 32 minutes. Who knows? But a good friend today, Tony Guy, who operates a web-based news site, ignored political reality, had asked if we should feel sorry for London in regard to their sick liberal immigration policies. And sick liberal immigration policies is what I added, but you know what he was asking about. Should we feel sorry for London? And this is my response. Domestically, here in the United States, we're literally at God's mercy as the sheep are getting plucked up at will. Just like Cyclops, the people eater. You know Cyclops, Greek mythology, and later adopted by Roman mythology. So truthfully, I find it difficult to feel sorry for England on one hand, but on the other hand, be not weary in well-doing, okay? Because I'm speaking as a first responder. I'm a chaplain with the Billy Graham Rapid Response Team. But in all of our hearts, we ponder these things, and I mention it. I'm going to mention it that I wish people would be honest at least, but I find it difficult to feel sorry for England on one hand, except for when innocent people suffer along with the few who actually are a waste of oxygen. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to British Prime Minister Theresa May to convey his sympathies for those injured in the terrorist attack, the White House said. So President Trump pledged to continue those close collaboration with the United Kingdom to stop attacks and combat extremism. U.S. President Donald Trump had tweeted that the, quote, sick and demented, end quote, people behind the attack had been in the sights of the Metropolitan Police, prompting Mrs. May to say it was not helpful to, quote, speculate on an ongoing investigation. So harsh as it may sound, additionally, let's get to domestic things going on in our country. Texas sure is taking on a different tone after Hurricane Harvey. I'll just say that a friend in need is a friend indeed. But I'm sure sick and tired of mainly what I hear from Texans and the rest of the country talking bad about Californians as if we're all the same. And that goes back to the subject that I'm going to be talking about. How can we change our voting processes? And is it needed? I believe it is needed. So there's a debatable difference between London with terrorist attacks and Texas with this latest unprecedented natural disaster. In Proverbs 16:18 it says, "Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall." And for that matter, California and the rest of the country also have our own fair share of reaping what we've sown. But for God's sake, I wish people would be honest and look in the mirror instead of using California as their little scapegoat to alleviate their own horrors they commit in their own states, homes, businesses, and society. So on the subject of the latest lawless attack on Californians as a whole, and several other states have also successfully toyed with their own gas and mileage taxes, here's a message I just sent to our San Diego conservative radio host on KOGO AM 600 regarding the gas tax our governor recently signed, and an idea my friend Tony Guy presented to change our 50 states voting processes from majority vote to a model where the whole state has a say rather than just a couple large populated areas deciding laws for a whole state. So back to our governor. He signed what the supermajority liberal legislature in California passed, a gas tax. And I'll explain the fallacies of this gas tax. But our governor actually signed this, and it is slowly but surely gaining popularity for this gas tax repeal. But those of us who are aware and in the know about this subject just feel totally let down by our governor. He was a two-term governor in the 1970s to the 80s, and now he's another governor. And why he's governor again, I have no idea. But he just signed this gas tax, and it is just repulsive. So let's hear from the crowd for Governor Jerry Brown of California. Yeah, you got that? And for my friend Tony Guy and Carl DeMaio, let's hear it for them. Hey, that was just a few claps, but you know what? That's true, because how is it that a very small minority of people consistently go to bat for us as citizens, and all we the people seem to be doing is griping and complaining? But when it comes to simply writing a letter or emailing or making a phone call that we all have access to, and believe me, if there's something that you want to locate, you locate it, especially when it has to do with money in your pocket or your wallet. You'll locate it all right. But when it comes to simply sending an email, finding an email address to your local representatives, what is it that we hear? Crickets. Yes, crickets. So come on, people. I am encouraging you to get involved. So back to the subject at hand. You may find Carl DeMaio's daily show at kogo.com. Just do a Google search, Kogo AM 600, and you can find the Carl DeMaio report. And Carl DeMaio, I actually sent him an email, and he promptly responded to me. And here is what I believe to be a put up or shut up idea, that if were existent, we'd have far less issues to fight, such as gas taxes and many others that consistently are brought up. And I continue in this message that I sent him that I hardly ever hear any others bring up. Most of us work different careers other than broadcasting and political involvement for a living, and simply cannot keep up with all of these things. But Carl, you are on the front lines and have the podium for things such as this. I would appreciate it if you gave it a look. And here's what I sent him: a copy of my friend Tony Guy's survey, a national voting survey. This is a voting survey. Participation in this survey and sharing it with others via Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media, as well as via email, would be greatly appreciated. And I have all these links on the information below, as it is on my Spreaker program, The Michael Tobin Show. It's also going to be on my blog titled I Like Mike, and that's at michaeldtobin.blogspot.com. And it's also going to be on YouTube and Twitter. So this is really going out. I'm doing my part, and I work my butt off. This has been the most brutal summer, and I've been going from career to career and job to job for the past, as far back as I could pretty much remember, really. I'm kind of the tail end of the baby boomer generation. It started in 1935 and ended in 1964. That's when I was born, the last year of the baby boomers. And I know what it's like for a lot of these millennials to be shamed simply because they're young. You know what? Shaming young people is old as dirt. And I am still feeling the effects of it, because I was so young that when I was young, 18 years old, 14 years old is when I got my first job where they were taking out taxes, actually. But since I was 14, let's see, 64, 74, 1978, I was 14 years old. It's just like I'm the youngest kid, so I'm the runt of the whole litter that was getting jobs that was like the American dream. But I don't quit. I never quit. But anyways, enough of me. But because this is actually the first part of a potential multi-stage program that my friend Tony Guy has written, and it's very short to the point, and you can visit his website at politicalreality.com, or just Google search Political Reality Tony Guy. So if you want to get on board the California gas tax petition, just go to stopthecartax.org. Alright? So, moving forward, here's what the website, it gives a little overview of the gas tax repeal. And I'm going to let you hear from talk show radio host in San Diego, Carl DeMaio. He's got good news for today, and you can hear that. So, with virtually no notice to the public, Democratic politicians in the California state legislature crammed through a massive hike to the car tax and gas tax. Fortunately, former San Diego City Councilman Carl DeMaio and a statewide coalition of taxpayer advocates have unveiled a strategy for getting citizens involved in overturning these tax hikes. If these tax hikes aren't overturned, the average California family will be forced to pay between $350 and $700 more per year. Worse, the roads still will not get fixed because California politicians will once again divert the funds. And they always do. So if you want to join the campaign to stop the car tax in California, please sign the online petition and share it with your friends. It's stopthecartax.org. And before getting into my friend Tony Guy's voting process change, I want to continue and conclude with the gas tax. And this was from today. Carl DeMaio and Coalition file initiative to repeal car and gas tax hikes. And you can download this episode, and it will be a reference for anybody who you want to share this with. San Diego, the statewide campaign to repeal the car and gas tax hikes is now officially underway with the formal filing of a ballot initiative to amend the state constitution to reverse the tax hikes and strip state politicians of the power to raise car tax and gas taxes in the future without a vote of the people. Sacramento politicians really crossed the line with these massive car and gas tax hikes, and we intend to give taxpayers the chance to reverse that decision with this initiative, said Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California. During the summer, DeMaio helped spearhead the successful signature drive to collect over 100,000 signatures to force a recall election against the state senator who was the deciding vote on the car and gas tax hikes. DeMaio is now committing to help finance the collection of signatures for the statewide initiative, as well as mobilize grassroots activists across the state. Backers of the initiative to roll back the car and gas tax hikes need to collect 585,407 signatures of California voters to force the measure on the November 2018 ballot. The next step in the qualification process is to receive ballot title and summary from California's Attorney General. Once we qualify this initiative for the ballot, 2018 will be remembered as the year we had another taxpayer revolt in California. Does anybody remember Proposition 13? Well, this taxpayer revolt in California, where the outrageous car and gas taxes were reversed by voters, and the politicians that enacted those tax hikes are punished at the ballot box, DeMaio concluded. So this will be the year that happens. And now, I want to play you a clip from Carl DeMaio from today's show on the Carl DeMaio Report.
Alright, if you want to join our campaign to stop the car and gas tax hikes in the state of California, join us online at stopthecartax.org. That's stopthecartax.org.
And now here's the good news.
15th at midnight. They can't do any more damage tonight as much as they would like to. But they've already done a whole crap load of damage, alright? And it's going to cost you a lot of money. First, I want to start with the positive news. Yesterday, if you didn't hear, yesterday we filed the ballot measure in Sacramento with the Secretary of State's office to amend the state constitution as part of our campaign to stop the car and gas tax hikes in California. It took us all summer to draft this thing. Now, it's only one page long, but it took us all summer to draft it. Here's why. We threw the kitchen sink at this thing to make sure that it is bulletproof, and it is bulletproof. Constitutional amendment that rolls back the car and gas tax hikes and strips the legislature of their authority to raise car and gas taxes in the future without a public vote. They would have to put it to the people. and try to convince us that, oh yes, you should gouge yourself at the pump. Really? Please do. Not ever going to happen. And so we're going to collect our signatures. We need 583,000 signatures. We already have 200,000 people signed up at stopthecartax.org. That's stopthecartax.org. Do your part, sign up, and share that website with all your friends and family. Stopthecartax.org. Okay, so...
You hear that, folks? It's bulletproof. It is going to be on the ballot in 2018. So let's hear it for Carl DeMaio. All right, now jumping forward to today's conclusion, a political commentary from my friend Tony Guy. And just a little bit about him. He has been called pompous, arrogant, uncompassionate, and even heartless, as well as too matter-of-fact and unyielding in opinion. These are the types of attributes necessary for the articles that appear on his site. And the guy is a genius. You should look him up, Tony Guy. And he's on Facebook, actually. So I want to read for you his survey. Okay. I actually got it right here. It's a national voting survey. Your participation would be greatly appreciated. So this is a voting survey. Participation in the survey and sharing it with others via Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media, as well as via email, would be greatly appreciated, because this is actually the first part of a potential multi-stage program. And if there's anybody that I know that could get this started, he can actually start some fires. And that's what I did. I sent Carl DeMaio, a very influential guy here in Southern California, so I hope that he promotes it. So this is a voting survey. It is only an opinion survey to determine if individual state petitions should be created and addressed to each state's legislature. No personal identification questions are asked. America's founders set this nation up as a constitutional republic, giving all states an equal say in all national elections. They did this by creating the electoral system of voting to ensure that states with larger populations could not control and dictate the outcomes of national elections. The individual states, however, are based on pure democracy, where larger populated areas control the outcomes of all statewide elections, thus negating the votes of the less populated counties. So a question needs to be asked, and it needs to be asked because America has become increasingly more polarized over the past half century. And before I get into the content of this survey, remind me when I'm done with this, if you will, somehow. No, I'm going to try to remind myself at the end of it. I want to share with you just what exactly happened with these past national elections and what many are not being told. So, should all of the individual states also adopt an electoral system of voting where all counties could now have an equal say in the political affairs of their respective states, an equal say in who should be governor of their state, an equal say in who should be their state senators, an equal say in who should be their U.S. senators, as well as an equal say in any and all other matters that directly affect all people in their respective states? Should each county be allowed to elect one or two electors who would represent the majority vote of each individual county in all state elections? You could either say, yes, I think my state should adopt an electoral system of voting in order to grant all counties in my state an equal say in the affairs of my state, and I would sign a petition to that effect addressed to my state legislature if that petition is created for my state. Or you could say, no, I do not think my state should adopt an electoral system of voting in order to grant all counties in my state an equal say in the affairs of my state. And I would not sign a petition to that effect addressed to my state legislature if that petition is created for my state. And then there's a vote icon that you can click on to vote. So I'm going to go ahead and click vote on it. Oh, I didn't select my answer. I'm going to select my answer, click, and click vote. There, it's done. I signed it. And I signed the petition to get the California gas tax repeal on the ballot. So, evidently, there's already over 100,000 people who who signed that they were in favor of this ballot. So it's going to happen, folks. You'll read it in the news. California is taking back our state. So you know what? That's it for the Michael Tobin Show. Stay tuned. As always, God bless you and have a wonderful day.